Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into the real reasons your wallet feels so much lighter even if you're making more money than you ever have before. We're going to go way beyond the headlines to get the full story.
So, if it feels like life has just gotten wildly expensive lately, let me tell you, you are absolutely not imagining it. From groceries to gas to even just a cup of coffee, the basic cost of living feels like it's spiraling. And this isn't just your problem or my problem. It's this shared universal feeling that the math just isn't mathing anymore, right? You feel like you're getting less but paying more? Because you are. Okay, let's really get into it. All right, so when we ask the big question, why is everything so expensive, we usually get a couple of the same official answers. Let's start with the story we've all heard a million times. First off, of course, is inflation. We all hear this word constantly. And it's true, at its peak in 2022, it hit 9.1%. That was a 40-year high. And, while that number has cooled off, the prices themselves, they haven't gone back down. They're just going up a little bit slower now. The other thing we're always told about is these lingering supply chain problems. Everything from global conflicts to labor shortages, all of that adds cost. And guess who that cost gets passed on to? You. But as all of our sources point out, that is not even close to the whole story. Okay, now let's pull back the curtain a little bit, because beyond the headlines, there's a whole set of deliberate corporate strategies that have totally reshaped what you actually get for your money. First off, let's talk about shrinkflation. This is a really sneaky, kind of psychological trick that companies use to raise prices without you getting that sticker shock when you go to checkout. And here's where that psychology comes in. Companies know that we humans hate seeing a price go up. It feels worse to us than just getting a little less in the box. But that little less is often a much bigger price hike in disguise. It's totally calculated and it is 100% intentional. Next, let's talk about the idea of choice. You walk down any aisle in a supermarket and you see dozens, maybe hundreds of brands all fighting for your attention. But are you really choosing? The thing is, we're basically living in an oligopoly. That means just a handful of huge conglomerates own almost everything you buy. Take Procter & Gamble. They own Tide, Gain, Downy, and Cheer. So if Tide raises its price, switching to Gain doesn't really send a message, does it? This lack of real competition means they can pretty much set prices however they want without any fear that you'll take your money somewhere else. And this right here illustrates the final piece of that corporate playbook. The big shift from owning things to just renting them. Companies are working so hard to turn physical products, printers, cars, even smart mattresses, into subscriptions that never end. For the companies, this model is an absolute gold mine. It gives them predictable, recurring revenue by locking you into payments for things you will never, ever truly own. But for you, it just means a much, much higher cost over your lifetime. So here's the crucial question. Why is this playbook so effective? Well, it's not happening in a vacuum. It's thriving because it's operating inside a system that has fundamentally changed over the past 50 years. See, since the 1970s, economic policies have steadily started to favor corporations and their shareholders way more than the average worker. And this created what economists now call the Great Divergence, where the wealth of companies just skyrocketed while the wages for the people doing the work barely moved at all. Just take a look at this number. Since 1970, the average salary for a CEO has grown by 1,300%. Now, what about the average worker over that same exact period? Their salary has gone up by just 49%. This is the math. This is the reason why the whole idea of the American dream, that each generation would do better than the last, feels completely stalled out. Okay, so what can you actually do about any of this? Well, our sources really highlight two different ways to approach this new, expensive world. The first approach is all about individual action. It's about controlling what you can control. That means budgeting with real intention, getting rid of high-interest debt, and, as you can see here, making every single purchase a conscious SMART decision, not just an impulse buy. Now, the second approach is more of a collective one. It's a kind of resistance through intentionality. This means rejecting that endless cycle of upgrades and just consuming. It means fixing things instead of just replacing them, and signaling to these massive corporations that you're not going to be exploited. The whole goal here is to collectively sink the demand so that prices are actually forced to adjust. So, the takeaway here is pretty clear. That feeling of being squeezed is very real, and it's complicated.
It's inflation, yeah, but it's also shrinkflation, it's oligopolies, it's the subscription economy, and it's a 50-year economic shift. Just understanding these forces is the first step. The real question this leaves us with is, how are we going to choose to respond, both as individuals and together?